welcome back to another amazing video. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. I appreciate every single one, and for those who have been here with me, I appreciate you for all your love and all your support. So yeah, let's get cooking. So to start off, I have 9 cups of bread flour. You can go ahead and use all-purpose flour. It's just gonna take more kneading. Alright, so I am going to add that, and I was doing some research to see how I can keep my bread fresher for longer, because every time I make hard bread it doesn't last long because it doesn't have any shelf life. So I am going to try and add this vitamin C. I added about half pack to see if it works. I am going to also add some milk powder. That came up as well, but I always use milk powder to give my bread a milky taste, and I'm also adding 1/4 cup of sugar. So to give the bread an authentic hardo bread taste, I am going to add some nutmeg, just about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and that also came up as flavor when I did some research. So if you want to go simpler, you can go back and watch my old hardo bread videos, just in case you don't want to use all these additives that I'm using. I mean, they're natural additives, the vitamin C powder, the milk powder, but just in case you want to keep your bread simple, you don't have to add any of these. All right, so moving on, I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Next, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt, and we're going to combine everything to make sure that it is properly mixed together. I'm going to set it aside and move on to the liquid ingredients. You're going to need 2.5 cups of warm water, and I'm going to add 2 packets of yeast and a tablespoon of sugar to that. The sugar will help the yeast to activate, and the warm water will keep it at the temperature that it needs to activate. So after about 5 minutes, this is what your yeast should look like. It should have a nice foamy floating on the top. So I have all my flour in here. This mixer is not a large one, and I've used it before with 9 cups of flour. It just put a little strain on the mixer, but I really can't knead it with my hand today, so I'm gonna have to take the chance. I'm just gonna put a well in the middle, pour all my yeast ingredients in there. I'm gonna also add 2 eggs in there. You can bake it without egg. I've done it before many times, but I prefer how the bread tastes. I prefer the texture of the bread when I use the eggs. I'm gonna add 1 stick of butter, and this is room temperature butter. It's already soft. You don't want to use anything cold in this mixture. As you see, I've used warm water, and I'm using room temperature egg and room temperature butter, because anything cold will cause your yeast not to rise properly, and your dough is gonna be flat. So I'm gonna start off really slow because I don't want any spilling. I'm gonna start off really slow, and then I pick it up to medium speed. So while my dough is mixing, I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, or you can use a tablespoon of vegetable shortening, whichever one you have. You also want to mix this for at least 8 minutes. If you're using the all-purpose flour, you want to go for at least 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna, as you can see, this is the texture you want your bread to be. It's supposed to be nice and tacky. After greasing my bowl, I am going to add my dough, nice and soft. So I've greased the bottom of the dough and I've greased the top, so that's gonna make it easier for me to remove the dough from the bowl when I'm ready. Next thing I'm gonna do is I am going to cover this with plastic wrap, and I'm gonna put a towel over it as well, just to keep it extra warm, because the yeast needs a warm place for it to activate. All right, so I'm gonna look for the warmest part in my kitchen and place it there. I'm just gonna give it like 20 minutes in here, and then I'm gonna put it in my bread pan for 1 hour. So here I have my pans already prepared and grease, and I use palm to grease it. So I'm just drying the counter to make sure that it's not wet because I already wiped it down, and this is where we're gonna roll out our dough. So one of the main reasons for putting your dough to rest is that it's easier to manage. As you can see, it's not sticking, easier to manage, and it's easier to roll out without you having to add any extra flour, because extra flour will change the texture of your dough and you don't want that. So I'm gonna try to get two loaf. I'm gonna try to get two loaf from this. Just gonna cut it up somewhat in half. I'm gonna wrap this one up while we're working with this one. So I'm just going to use my rolling pin to roll this out to get it to the length of my loaf pan. And while I'm rolling this out, you want to make sure that the smoother part goes on the bottom. If you notice, I flip it and put the rougher part on the top because I'm going to be rolling inward and have the rougher part on the inside of my bread. So you want to measure with your loaf pan to make sure that it's the same length, and then you're going to pinch and roll as soon as you get the length of the pan. So as soon as you get the length, you want to just pinch it and roll. And while you're rolling, you want to tuck in the sides like this. So as soon as you're done shaping your dough, you just want to flip it over, and that rough edge that's left, you want to pinch it together and tuck it in at the bottom, and then you want to flip it and roll it on the bottom of your counter. I'm just going to place it in my pan. I'm going to cover it right away so that it stays warm. So now you're going to allow this to rest for 1 hour. It's going to double in size, and then we're going to bake it. So as you can see, the bread have doubled in size. I have my oven preheated, and I am just going to pop them in there and allow them to bake about 15 to 20 minutes, and they're ready. So the breads are out. I'm just going to allow them to cool down, and then we're going to cut them to see the texture and the taste. Ooh, pretty. So at 10:15 a.m. I placed them in the oven, and by 11 o'clock I took them out to get this color. Also, my oven was preheated at 300 degrees, and I bake it at 300 for 20 minutes, and then I put it up to 320 degrees and finish baking it for the next 25 minutes. So I wanted it to be soft and nice, so that is why I did that. And yeah, I achieved what I was looking for, and here it is. It's nice, it's soft, it has the right texture, and it was tasting delicious. I hope you guys try this recipe and let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was beneficial to you, and don't forget to come back for more and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that share button. All right, bye guys.